The most anticipated speech in the history of sports entertainment. There's a lot of squiggling going on around in these seats right here. I want to take the second to say to my wife, Pooch, you came into my life in '96 just as I came back to wrestling, and very shortly after I came back, things unraveled, but you stuck with me. We got married. We built an incredible life. We have beautiful children. You look absolutely awesome, and I love you. Mom, I'm glad you're here tonight. I remember when I was 11 or 12 and Dad decided that he was going to go on and do different things in his life, and he never looked back to provide any kind of support, financial or otherwise. You didn't skip a beat. You got to work and you provided for me and my other two brothers and two sisters so that we never went without. The hard work ethic that I have and the self-discipline I have, I got from you, and I love you. And my two warrior girls, Indiana Marin Warrior and Madigan Twain Warrior. You weren't even alive in this world yet when Daddy was doing his Ultimate Warrior thing. But I tell you what, this is awesome. I told you, Mr. McMahon and WWE, they do awesome stuff, right? Just awesome. I want to let you know here tonight that although I've done some pretty incredible things in wrestling, in my wrestling career when you weren't around, the most awesome thing I will ever do is be your father. Well, I'm glad Linda mentioned about the sweat, because it gave me a pass on carrying a rag out here, because I do sweat. And I was backstage sitting there, some of the guys were there, some of the younger talent and stuff, and I was thinking to myself, man, this is unbelievable. This is just awesome. This is getting ready to happen. After suffering all the blows, taking all the shots, the toil on the body and the mind for all those years, I thought, I just can't believe this has happened. And then evidently I was doing like I do a lot now that I've gotten older. I was talking out loud. Or, talking to myself. I don't want to admit that. Talking to my hands like the Ultimate Warrior used to do. Hey, it worked. But this young kid beside me says, yeah. He said, sir, it just really is. It's so fabulous. I just can't believe it. It's just like a dream come true. You getting into the Hall of Fame. Getting inducted into it this evening. And I looked at him and I said, the Hall of Fame? I'm not talking about the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about DDP yoga. I'm finally going to give me some DDP yoga. I told him when I got up to go to the men's room, I said, look, if an 800 number pops up on that screen, you be sure and scratch it down for me. I mean, for a second back there, I thought I was watching a DDP yoga infomercial. But all seriousness aside, it is inspiring to see how DDP and his yoga is helping people fix their self-destructive ways. It is, did I just say that? I promised that when I came here tonight, I wouldn't say those two words. Ever since I put this deal together with Paul, and I want to thank Paul for that, all the effort and energy he put into that. That's a story that can be told on another day. I said to myself, okay, you're not going to go there. You're not going to go there. I made a trip up to the WWE Tower the other day, and it's like it never existed, that DVD. When I sit and talk with people, they get all stone. They get this stone cold look on their face. I was in a meeting with the media people and people who do appearances and stuff, and I was making a joke out of what Paul said, that I only met him for 5 minutes and he was an. And I told Paul, I said, well, boy, we're just spending only 5 minutes with this. Sure learned a lot. And anyway, there were about 8 people around the table, and nobody cracked a smile or nothing except this one girl in the back. She was pressing her lips together as hard as she could to keep from bursting out laughing. Finally, she couldn't hold it no more. She burst out, and everybody in the room just went wild with laughter and cutting up about it. But, you know, when I think about it, I mean, if you really want to do something kick-ass in your life, if you really just want to get the biggest bang for your buck, I might suggest that you practice my brand of self-destruction. I mean, even after 18 years in exile, you can still come back and be the headliner for the WWE Hall of Fame at the landmark 30th WrestleMania. Now you're being kind. And that's cool, and we'll talk a little bit about that. The one more match thing isn't going to happen, but other bigger things are going to happen. But I want to start by thanking a bunch of people. I've never interacted with anybody in this business that hasn't taught me something. Even if it is to teach me things that I don't want to do. Directions I don't want to go in my life. Things like that aren't going to work for me. But everybody in this business that I ever crossed paths with taught me something. Going all the way back to the beginning. Getting a few hours of training. Of course, that was easy to notice. A few hours of training from Red Bastien in California, a racquetball court. They had a ring set up in there. That was before they were smartening people up. Me and Steve Borden, Sting, a couple. And a couple other muscled-up guys, Red Bastien and Billy Anderson, enjoyed just watching us pound the crap out of one another. After a few hours training there, me and Steve put some flyers together. We went to Mid-Southern. Jerry Jarrett gave us an opportunity there. The people we met there, Dutch Mantell, Jerry Lawler, Fantastics, Bobby Rogers and Tommy Fulton, or the other way around, Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton. From there to Watts territory, all the guys over there, the things we learned from them. Ted DiBiase was over there at the time, Dr. Steve Williams. I have to tell Teddy, I somewhat fashioned my clothesline after you. Because I remember you and Steve Williams, when you had matches with me and Steve, you tried the best you could to make it obvious that you wanted us to pack our gear bags and go home. And I remember my Adam's apple was always sore and hurting because of the clotheslines you gave me. So, you can take some honor in that, Ted.
Minions have
Where's Ted
spawned.
at? Is Ted here? Ted, good evening. How you doing, bud? Awesome.
Surpass the frailty of your form.
Of course, went to WCCW World Class Championship Wrestling. and learned a lot of great things there. Started the Dingo Warrior gimmick, the poor version of Ultimate Warrior. I only had a couple tubes of paint, a couple strings to put around my arms, but all the great people there, David Manning, Rick Hazard, the Von Erichs, Lynn Denton, Tim Brooks, some of the guys that just worked in the business because they enjoyed working in the business. Bruiser Brody was there. George Scott was there. He was there at the tail end of it. George Scott worked with Vince in the beginning to do the first couple WrestleManias. He was going down to Florida to retire, and Fritz had asked him if he'd come down there and do some of the booking.
I know.
And he came down there for a while, and I remember another old-timer, Bronco Lubick, was working in the office there, and he pulled me aside one day and he said, George was on the phone today and he was talking to New York. He didn't say WWE. Well, I wish that they could put the F and F back in. You know, for us guys. For us guys that have a difficult time now keeping track of those kind of details. I mean, I really can't believe that Jerry McDivitt got his ass kicked by those wildlife people. Anyway, Bronco said, they're talking about, so he said there's a kid down here and he's raw, obviously again. He's green, obviously again. But he could be something. And that led to me going down to Tyler, Texas, having a match for a card that WWE was putting on down there. And that led to me going up to New York. And in New York, so many people I want to thank. The first guy I worked with, Jose Estrada, it was a television taping in Indianapolis. I went there and he made me press on him about 15 or 16 times, something like that. And I guess to see if I was going to blow up. I was blown up before we started. Steve Lombardi. Where's Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler? Steve was on the receiving end of my green punishment every night for a long, long time. Always kept a positive attitude about it. Terry Gibbs, the first guy I worked with on TV. All the guys there that helped me out. You know, they're in the business. The boys have a pretty good
victory is forever.
And aside from, you know, the details of specific stories or events that are told in the DVD, there's a lot of discussion about that I wasn't welcome in the locker rooms. I wasn't one of the boys. I was an a-hole to everybody.
They will greet you as heroes.
You know, those kind of things, when I saw the DVD, they make me angry and they pissed me off, but they also broke my heart. They really did, because in the business, when somebody comes in, as new guys would come in every 3 weeks, we did television, they would come in for a tryout or something. If they didn't have the kind of personality to cut it amongst the boys, they weren't around very long. If they couldn't handle having their high security gear bag with the combination lock that can't be violated, if they couldn't handle having the bulldogs find their way in that bag and leaving something in the bag that you don't want to find in any bag anywhere, then they were out of there real quick. And recently, one of the guys I had one of the classic all-time matches of all time with has been on the record saying that I was a good guy.
Violence.
I was a good guy.
Elegance.
I am a good guy. And when those kind of things were said about me, I want to thank the superstars that you never see. To make this, no, it's not a new gimmick, the Invisible Man or anything. I'm talking about all the people behind the scenes here. that work for WWE, some of them for years, 20, 25, 30 years.